All right. So today we have Kernobi, who is a Twitch partner and has been streaming since about September 27th, 2022. She became a partner in July 8th, around 2024, and has about 30K followers on TikTok, which is pretty freaking solid, if I do say so myself. So when, not just streaming, but she's a part of other events and other things, like a thing called Stack Up, which she even went out to LA to go and do one of the events out there to support different veterans like her father. She does stream. She does stream a lot of things like Soulsborne, tough games, Star Wars games. You know, she's pretty much a god gamer in a lot of those facets, but when she's not crushing all these tough games, she does play some pretty relaxed stuff like Water Park Simulator, which I was a part of that as an NPC, and I was clearly like employee of the year, so there was that, and a bunch of other really like relaxed and chill things too. So very variety of her. And when she's not gaming, she also has a love of photography, and even sold some of her really cool prints that you can check out at some point later on if they're still available. So with all of that being said, Kern, you've done so much, and it all feels like you've done a lot of it in such a small amount of time, honestly. Like you're always just getting into stuff, and it seems like you're definitely a go get 'em type person. So I just want to say thank you for doing this in the first place, and we're just going to just jump right on into the beginning of all of this and just kind of go from there. All right.
Wow. You
Yeah,
did
I
your
did my
homework.
work.
Oh my gosh.
I
I'm
told you.
proud. Yeah, dude. Round
I
of
told
applause.
you, I was locked in. All right, so beginning this whole operation here, your name, Kernobi. You're clearly a Star Wars fan, but like, what's the lore there? Like, how did that happen? When did your love of Star Wars begin? Like, what's going on with that?
Okay, well, I've always liked Star Wars as a kid. I think the first one I saw was with my family in the movie theaters, which, everybody as a kid, you're like, oh my gosh, Star Wars. There's lightsabers, there's fighting, there's the Force. What's not to like, right?
True.
But Kern is actually my childhood nickname. It's short for Colonel. So it's the pronunciation of like the spelling of the actual colonel in the military, which is Kernel. And my dad was military. So I was the firstborn kid. So since I was firstborn, I was the colonel. And so all my childhood, I was the Kern. So when I started my online journey, I wasn't sure what name I wanted to use because throughout all of our online histories, we've always had some crazy, unhinged, random names. But if you're actually going to do something worthwhile, what name do you want associated with your personality? Right? It's something big to think about.
Yeah.
And I was going through this transformation of, myself. I had gone through some rough times, and I was like, let's just start from where we began. So I just went with Kern. That was my TikTok name. And yeah, so that's where I started. And then when I was doing TikTok lives, my very first Lego was the Darth Vader helmet Lego set. And obviously it attracted a bunch of not only Lego fans, but Star Wars fans as well. And somebody in one of my Lego lives suggested Kern Obi. And I stole it. I bought it from him because he asked me to QVC the Lego that I was building at the time. So I did. And then, boom, that was my name going forward. Kern_Obi.
Wow. What a goated random chatter. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is the origin story of Kernobi.
Hell yeah. What was your first Star Wars movie, though?
Oh my gosh. Force
yeah.
Awakens.
Okay. Because I watched the ones in theaters, and I never went back and watched the actual older ones. I just saw lightsabers, pew pew, light force. I was like, hell yeah, this is sick. And then I saw the graphics and the editing of the older ones, and I was like, a little crusty. I think I'm cool with where I'm at, and just kind of let that go. But final answer. What was your first Star Wars?
Force Awakens.
Okay,
is
gotcha.
that one? But my favorite is Revenge of the Sith, Return of the Jedi, and Empire Strikes Back. Those are my absolute favorites. But obviously, when those first came out, I wasn't around to see them in the theaters. Or if I did, I wasn't comprehending what was going on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get that. I
We're
really get
old,
that.
but we're not that old.
That is fair. That is so fair. I'm not sure if this is you. Wait, what is your opinion on the newer ones that all came out with the fake Darth Vader looking guy? He just looked like he was a really angry kid. I don't know. I didn't watch those movies, but people seem very opinionated on like the newer ones. Did you ever check those out?
They are very opinionated. I think there's, Star Wars fans can be very serious about their Star Wars. While I enjoy Star Wars, I am not an exact lore nerd. I can't recite the movies back to front if you paid me. But I do enjoy the universe. As far as the newer stuff, it it's a catch-22. Some of this stuff I really enjoy, some of the stuff not so much. I also feel like Disney may be ruining some of it. Some of the series feels less like a series and more like a drawn out short movie, if you get my drift.
So you're not a fan necessarily.
To
of
some
the,
stuff, yeah. Like let's say the Obi-Wan series, loved it. Mando, loved it. Boba Fett, could have been better. Andor, not my cup of tea.
Okay, okay. I can just there's some people who I know listen to this podcast, and they're gonna hit me up and be like, "Yo, what do you mean she didn't like this? This is one of the greatest of all time." So I'm looking forward to those messages later.
I know everybody. You either hate or you love Andor, and to each their own opinion. Personally, one of my favorite parts of Star Wars is the Jedi, is the lightsaber battles, is the Force. And in Andor, it's more on the Imperial side, the Emperor side of Star Wars.
Okay, you know what?
Or the Empire, sorry. Oh my gosh.
They're
gonna kill me.
They're gonna kill me. We're both going down. But essentially, I didn't watch any of this stuff, so I have no dog in this fight. So whatever the listener likes, I like, and I'm gonna play the middle like that. And I also trust Kern though. So she is my unofficial Bible when it comes to this now as well. So there's that. Anyway, with that being said, we're gonna go on to the next thing here, and with all of that, because you said you did the TikTok streams, you did the obviously the Twitch streams. Like, how did that process start? Like, at what point were you like, you know what, I'm gonna start doing this live streaming stuff? How did you find Twitch? Like, how did we even get here?
Well, like I said, I was going through a period of kind of self-transformation. I don't know if it was a midlife crisis, whatever. And I was just using TikTok a lot, like most everybody does, doom scrolling, whatever. You make a stupid TikTok video here or there, trending sounds, and some of my videos started gaining a little traction where I ended up getting over 1,000 followers on the app. And once you reach 1,000, you can go live on the platform. I've never been live anywhere. My entire gaming and just life, like I've always been a slide under the radar, don't notice me. If I play video games, I try not to talk in them too much. Like, that's just how I spent most of my days. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, why do I do this? Let me put myself out there. What's the worst that can happen? People come in, they troll me, nobody watches, at least I could say I did it.
It's true.
So I grabbed my Lego set, which was the Darth Vader helmet Lego set, and I set up my phone and I said, F it, let's do it, see what happens. Again, worst case, nobody's in there. I build my Lego by myself. Best case, people join and want to hang out. And best case happened. So more people kept coming in, people were talking, Lego, Star Wars, whatever. And I would build another Lego, build another Lego, build another. And every time I would go live, more people were there. And it got to a point where, people wanted to send me Lego to build for them. And, I think once you get into this case of I'm lonely, so I'm going to do something, you start to realize that there's other people who feel the same exact way. So I started thinking maybe the viewers are just the same kind of people. They're alone and they want somebody to converse with. So that's why they watch Twitch or YouTube or any kind of live stream. I would imagine most people just like the company, the interaction. So I just kept doing it for them and for me. It was like a win-win almost, I guess. They were keeping me company, I was keeping them company. Mm-hmm. And then, they start to getting to know you, right? Because you're having conversations about everyday life, their life, your life, random conversations that just spark in the chat. And they found out that I played video games. And they asked if they could watch me play video games too, which is mind blowing. Because I'm like, why would you want to watch somebody else play video games? I've never watched Twitch streamers. I've never, wanted to watch other people play games. I've wanted to play the games myself. But I said, hey, they wanted to do it. So I did it. I made a Twitch account. I started Googling, how do you even set up OBS? What is OBS? I don't even know. And yeah, then it just kept rolling. The more I did it, the more people kept coming in, and the more my viewers were encouraging me to do what they find entertaining. And so I just followed their lead, basically.
Okay. So wait, your very, very like first live streaming anything was just TikTok.
Yes.
I don't think I knew that. Wow. I was all my digging. I thought you did Twitch. Like most creators, they do Twitch and then they go, I should probably do TikTok. And then you just naturally just start working your way around all the different socials to like filter back into TikTok, but like, or to Twitch. But then you started with that. That is interesting. That's very, very interesting.
They specifically asked me to make a Twitch. So I did.
Interesting. So I've seen a lot of the videos that you've posted, a lot of your gaming stuff now, and you have like some of the cool like Star Wars like things where you're like flipping around the lightsaber and stuff like that. Like dope videos, by the way, super dope.
Thank you.
How important would you say as social media has been on like the growth of your live stream channel and everything?
Very important. Very. You can't just go live on any platform and expect people to find you, and not only find you but also stick around. Like I said, when I first was doing TikTok, the reason people started following my TikTok account even before I could go live was my content.
Mm-hmm. That makes
so
sense.
I feel like it's the best way to branch off so people can find you. They can kind of see what are you about, and then go from there.
Mm-hmm. So like Legos, when did this even start? Like, were you always building as a kid and you're just like, I just never stopped building them? Like, how'd that even start with you?
I've liked Legos as a kid, but no, honestly, I just had the one random Lego and I was gonna build it just on my own, but I mixed it with just trying out the live because that way it gave me something to do. I mean, even sitting here talking with you, I have a hard time sitting on camera and not doing something. With my hands, I fiddle. And maybe that's like the introvert in me. I don't know. So having the Lego was easy because I could focus on that while also simultaneously focusing on my live.
Right. I mean, shoot, I should have gave you a heads up had I known. We could be building a Lego on the
Dude,
podcast.
I got so many. You see right over there, dude?
I
There's
do
so
see that.
many.
You got a lot going on in that background too, by the way. So for anyone listening, she has tons of Star Wars stuff in her background. Like it is a lot happening, and it's so sweet looking, including but not limited to Legos as well. So you've always just been or you've turned into, which you may have always been, some kind of builder, basically.
Yes.
Which
I have a lot now and that I didn't have before, all from streaming.
you never know how you'll find talents, right?
No.
But then that leads me to the next thing, though. You built your own PC, and then you streamed it. So, I mean, at some point, you're like, all right, these Legos clearly not hard enough. Let's get into the thick of it. You bought all the graphics card, the CPU, all the RAM. You're just like, listen, I'm going to send this. And it was a very expensive Lego that you got for that whole situation. How did that, and was that like your second setup or because obviously you were streaming on something else beforehand. What was that process like?
So that's the advanced Lego,
Yes.
Is a PC building, also way more expensive.
Yeah.
No, my first PC, one of my viewers had built for me. We kind of went 50-50 because when I first started streaming on Twitch, I didn't have a PC. I was streaming straight from my Xbox, and my Xbox was located in my room because that's where I would do my gaming. So my first ever couple streams was me laying in my bed. I had a webcam on a tripod, USB plugged into my Xbox, and then I was reading the chat from my phone so they could see both the gameplay and me. And then I had a laptop, but we all know laptops are not the best for streaming because you have to not only run a game, but also OBS and any other programs. So
Right.
eventually I was bumped up to my very first PC. But I wanted to try the 2 PC. So yeah, I ended up building my gaming PC not that long ago. I think that was what, 7 months ago or something like that. Sometime last year. And I've never built a PC before in my life. So my community helped me out a lot with trying to not only understand what I was doing, but pick out the right parts. And with PC building, it's like most anything. There's a bunch of different ways you could do the same thing. So when I was streaming it, it was enjoyable to see one person said, do it this way, and another person would say, no, do it this way. And they'd almost start bickering whose way was better. And I'd be like, whoa, we're not fighting, okay? Give me your arguments. Why is your way better than the other way, you know? And
Right.
then I'm the captain of this ship. I'm deciding
There
what
you
we're
go. Just
doing.
put your foot down.
Yeah, so but it was cool because you get to see different avenues of how you could do things, even down to like putting the paste on the GPU or the putting the paste on the CPU. Do you do one dot? Do you do an X? Do you do multiple dots? How much paste are we talking?
Right.
you know? But yeah, I learned a lot. I could build another PC. Do I want to? No. But could I? Yeah.
Yeah, I got a guy who is really good with that kind of stuff, and I would, nope, would not touch it with a bajillion foot pole. Like, there's just too many moving parts. You put one thing in the wrong centimeter, and then the thing just doesn't boot up, and I'm just like, well, I guess it's dead, and I'm out of money now. So kudos to you for pulling that off. My hat goes off to you because, that's a very tough thing that you just did there. So I'm super
Bro.
impressed.
It was hard too trying to find the GPU because it was right when they dropped the 50 series. So
Oh,
you couldn't
really?
get the 40, and trying to get your hands on the 50 was like next to impossible. That was the last piece that I ended up getting was the GPU.
And the 50 series, for anyone listening, is a graphics card for any kind of like PC that like is more of the newer model as of right now in 2025, 26, kind of 26, but like 25 specifically. And for some reason, scalpers just love grabbing those things and just upselling those things like it was no one's business. So, there's that. Um, don't get me started on the RAM situation right now, but that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother podcast. So you got the PC, you're at some point, and you had mentioned earlier in this episode already that you found yourself wanting to put yourself out there. And, you did that in the way of live streaming, finding a community, and then branching off the live stream into Twitch and TikTok. And at some point, you found your way to certain like events. Like you went to some Twitch cons. You went to an NRG party. Went to a Capcom event for Monster Hunter Wilds, which is a pretty dope video game. You then again you went to the LA thing for the Stack Up event, and which we'll get into this later. But you went to Alaska for some photography. Like, what made you want to even do any of these events? And like, I don't know, like, how did that even start? And what drives you to do this?
Um, Honestly, it's the experience. It's putting myself in awkward situations. I'm a very introverted person. So doing something like that is definitely out of my comfort zone. But I'm still on this path of trying to better myself just in general, overall. And I know that's kind of like, ooh, spiritual would, but it is a big thing to kind of overcome things that make you a little uncomfortable because you get to learn from them, whether it's something good or something bad. You could end up liking something, you could hate it, and now you know that
Hmm.
either way. So when those opportunities were given to me, I said, what's the worst that can happen? I don't enjoy myself. I know I don't want to do that again. It's as simple as that. The best case is I have a great time. Maybe I meet some new people. Maybe I meet somebody cool. Maybe something cool happens. Who knows? It's endless possibilities. So you just go for it.
Okay. I'm reading this book and I'm super into self-development myself, and the book that I'm reading now is about entrepreneurship and life and stuff like that. And recently, this chapter that I'm reading, it's called Diary of a CEO, by the way. And he talks about decisions and how there are two different type of decisions. There's a type 1 decision and a type 2 decision that Jeff Bezos had talked about forever ago. And essentially a type 1 decision is a decision you can't come back from. So you have to really deliberate whether or not you want to do it, because once you do it, you got to lock in because you're going to be stuck in that for probably the foreseeable future of your life. But a type 2 decision is a decision that there's always a way back. And, I would argue a type 1 decision is having a kid. You can't undo having a kid, or people haven't figured it out yet. I mean, maybe there's an argument, whatever. But,
redo. We're scum saving this one.
Oh, my God. So, it's stuff like that. You got to raise the kid. You got to go through all that kind of stuff. That's going to be your foreseeable future. But like a type 2 decision is like, I want to try out this new burger joint. Like, oh, well, what if I don't like it? It's okay. You can go somewhere else later on. You'll get hungry again. Life goes on. And most things in life are a type 2 decision. So if you don't like streaming, just don't stream anymore. If you don't like the trip you went on, it's okay. There'll be other trips. So it seems like you have been doing a decent amount of like type 2 stuff where you're like, hey, if I don't like it, cool. If I do like it, sick. And I don't know. What has been one of the more memorable things that you've done within the last couple of years with all your traveling and stuff like that?
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, Alaska was in its own accord something else. I've always liked photography. It's been a hobby for over a decade. And again, I'm going to revert back to TikTok and the TikTok community encouraging me to put myself out there with, more things.
Mm-hmm.
I told them about my photography. And they asked if they could see pictures. So I showed them some of the stuff that I've done. And they wanted me to start printing because they wanted to buy them. You know what I mean? And I was like, you want to buy my photos? So, yeah, when I went to Alaska and I just took the trip to have fun and kind of get out in nature. And that's my favorite for photography is nature. And when I got back, they wanted to see more, and so I looked up a print shop. I started uploading all my stuff to it. I ended up going to some art show out where I live with my stuff. I mean, it was just like a cannonball of effects, when you start putting yourself out there and trying different things, you never know what's going to come after that. Granted, it didn't become like a big thing because I had to kind of decide, do I want to focus on that or streaming? Because my time is very limited. I work full-time job. You have to life at some point. Laundry's not going to do itself. There's not an automatic feeder to just feed me while I sit and do stuff.
I would probably buy that, actually.
Bro, you ever see where they put the hoodies upside backwards? You put popcorn in the hood. And
oh my God, yes. Oh, what an innovator on that one.
Yeah. Just start doing that, So you kind of have to decide, well, where do you want to put all of this time and energy? So that, is just a hobby that I do. And kept going with the streaming. And I forgot what question you had asked. But for streaming wise, I honestly think TwitchCon was one of the bigger things for me that I put myself out there. Because the very first one I went to, I didn't know anybody going, right? So like I got on this plane, I got a hotel room by myself. I've only talked to maybe 3 people that I knew were going to be there virtually a couple times. It wasn't like, oh, that's a good friend that we play games with all the time. It was, no, I literally just go in their stream and say hi every now and then, and they do that back.
Mm-hmm.
But I met so many cool people. One of them was Corey, who used to work at NRG, which is how I ended up going to that Monster Hunter Wilds party.
Oh, nice.
So it's just, networking is huge. You never know who you're going to meet. You never know what opportunities are going to present themselves from meeting up more people, It's same with the Stack Up. The Stack Up reached out and asked, hey, one day would you want to do a charity stream for Stack Up? And I said, yeah, let's do it. I asked my mods how they felt about it because I like to get their input. They are viewers, right? So it's nice to kind of get their input on how they would feel, because if they're going to be the ones donating, And so many of my community are ex-military that it was like a unanimous yes. We want this charity.
Can you
So I
explain what Stack Up is, by the way?
absolutely. Stack Up is a nonprofit organization that helps veterans and active military combat PTSD and suicide prevention through gaming. So they raise money that allows them to send out care packages to veterans or active military. It'll have like a PC, different games, consoles, games, what have you. That's one aspect of it. They have a Discord with a 24/7 emergency helpline for anybody that's struggling with mental health that they can utilize. They send veterans off to different gaming events. They host local groups so that people can kind of find that camaraderie like they had in the military outside of it with gaming. So they can find local groups they can join. It's a huge organization with such a great cause behind it that it's hard to not like them. So we've raised money for them. We've raised enough to be able to send out care packages to multiple veterans at this point. And when they had asked if I would want to do the in-person with 9 other streamers out in California, I was like, oof, you know what? This is going to make me uncomfortable. We're doing it. So I did it and I had fun. I met a bunch of other great streamers there. Some of them we've collabed with when we've been back here. Again, it's just opportunities and it's worth taking that risk to see what happens.
And you're still working with them now, right? You're still like with the whole organization? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we do they do fundraising every year. So every year, well, I'll have a link up somewhere. I think my link that's still up was from last year, but when they do a new one, yeah. Well, I typically only do 1 or 2 charity streams a year, but it will only ever be with Stack Up.
I love that. Yeah. Okay, so then you're traveling the world, you're doing some really cool stuff. You're a pioneer in your
leaving
own
the dungeon. We're leaving
absolutely.
The dungeon.
Well, I'm still in the dungeon looking for my hat with the food and like a gerbil in the cup holders. But I'm living vicariously through you.
You find one, you let me know. I could use one too, buddy.
I will keep you in mind then, or just make one and just go into business and just start hitting gamers up.
That's a great merch idea. If you do it, I'll buy your merch.
You know what? We'll go 50-50. But, that's for after the podcast. Okay. So how did you find any of these events you were going to, though? Like, you're doing all this stuff, but, like, was it all just word of mouth from your friends? Or did you, like, do certain things to find certain events to go to?
No, it was just word of mouth. I mean, other than TwitchCon, because TwitchCon is a yearly thing. Everything else that I've done was just word of mouth from somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And do you have any plans this year to go anywhere else?
I'm not sure. I'll see what happens. I was thinking of trying to go to PAX West. I tried to go last year, but
and what's PAX, by the way?
Oh, PAX. It's for game developers and stuff. It's a gaming convention.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I've been writing game reviews for Nerd Reactor, which again was through networking. I was introduced to John Nugent, who's the owner of Nerd Reactor, so I write game reviews for him sometimes.
Oh, nice.
And he would have been able to get me a press pass to PAX West, but because it kind of took so long to decide if I was going or not, the flight and the hotel and stuff would have been outrageous. And again, it would have been something where I would have known nobody. And I was like, do I want to spend that much money for 5 days there? That might be a little stretch for me,
Right.
Maybe next year.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, so to be determined on things for this year to go, I think I want to travel some more this year, but I don't know where I want to go. But I know I want to go somewhere. But I haven't figured it out yet.
Okay, let's figure this out.
Oh, yeah?
What kind of scenery are we talking? Do you want like a beach? You want warm? You want mountains? You want cold? Do you want specific? Do you want
if we're
relaxing?
doing this, I have had this really audacious. It's not even that audacious. I just haven't done it. Denver, Colorado. And
Okay.
I just only hear really good things about it because I'm a nature guy. I love doing my walks, my hikes, being one with nature, just being, the black version of Snow White, but when I sing the animals run. Like it real right there, And I only hear good things about it. So I'm like, I would love to just go visit for like a week maybe. But like nothing too extravagant like PAX. Like I'm kind of like maybe intimidated by going to things like PAX and TwitchCon and stuff like that. It's just so big, and I don't even know who I would go up there for. I wouldn't really have anyone to go with. So to just do a solo trip, I mean, listen, I'm super comfortable as an individual, but if I can avoid it, I'm like, you know what? Maybe a solo trip in those bigger environments may not be for me right away. So I don't know.
What are
So
you
that's where I'm
talking
at.
about? If you went to TwitchCon, I'd be there. I bet we could make Thundy go.
You know what? You're probably right. We probably could get Thundy out there and then get a nice little group of us. And then, you know what? You know what? You might be onto something. Even though Twitch has been under fire lately with a lot of
Yeah, it
different things.
has.
But I think we'll have our own good time, though. It's not even about that.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Well,
You
that's
know
that's
what?
the thing, right? Because TwitchCon last year had a lot of controversy, and I went with my streamer bestie Reese Cubs, who he ended up becoming basically my bodyguard
Yeah.
because of how things went down there. But I think the thing about TwitchCon is it's not necessarily TwitchCon itself. It is the people that are going. It's the
Hmm.
time where you get to meet people that you've met virtually. You get to expand your networking in person. You get to talk to brands. There's all of those opportunities that you can take if you want to.
Okay. And then what if like for someone listening, if there's someone like me and they're just like, well, I don't have a Kenobi and a Thunder Scepter to just say, hey, let's just run this thing and let it rip. Like what do they do for these kind of events if they want to go and get into them and
You
they have
just
no
meet
friends?
people there. I mean, you have to think of it okay, like TwitchCon, for example. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of people there from
Hmm.
all over. There's also a bunch of people in your exact position who go there not knowing anybody else. So you can just find people that you click with as you kind of walk around, check things out. But you have to be willing to again put yourself out there and be, a little more extroverted by talking with people.
Yeah. In worst case scenario, this is one of those type 2 decisions. You try to do like an intro to say hi to someone and it bombs. It's okay. You'll move on. They'll move on. They may forget you because I'm sure something crazier is going to happen like a day or two from that, convention. So if you
Uh-huh.
walk up and go, hey, that's the guy from Fortnite, am I right? And then they go, what the fuck? And then they just kind of like keep looking at you kind of weird. Then you walk away and then you hit the next person with like a 6, and then they go, God, someone called the cops on this guy. You can only bomb so many times before I think you figure it out. So like, anyone who is going to go up there on their own, just, it's not
Yeah,
going
I
to kill you.
mean, most people aren't thinking about you as much as you think. You know what I mean? So unless you're like that one guy that did whatever he did at TwitchCon, nobody's gonna remember who you were.
True. Very, very true. So yeah, something to think about for the foreseeable future. But
Hmm.
along the same vein of travel, I do want to delve into that Alaska trip. Okay,
Okay.
you're doing the photography and stuff like that. I do want to know, like, when did you even get into photography?
It was probably over a decade ago. I was hanging out with some people and they were into photography. They were into this type of photography, which is called urbexing. Urbexing is where you take photos of like rundown buildings, like stuff that's decaying, like that kind of vibe is what they like doing. So they would do all these adventures where they would end up going to these abandoned rundown places. And there's actually an entire urbexing community that's very secretive on their locations because they don't want it to be disturbed, right? They don't want a bunch of people going there and ruining the setup. It would take away from being able to capture it with, photography.
Right.
Um, so I got introduced to it that way. And, I really enjoyed it. I liked the exploring part of it, but I liked the capturing of whatever you could see with your eye, trying to get that same kind of vibe that you were feeling in the moment through the lens. So that's how I ended up liking it. And I had to learn about more stuff. I ended up spending the money, got my Canon Rebel T3i, which now is probably outdated AF, but it still works.
Hey, that sounds cool to me. I mean, I'm sure you got some good shots with that Canon of yours, though.
Yeah.
And I saw that you pretty much seem to specialize in a lot of like nature photography. Is that about right?
Yes.
So did that like stem from your ghost adventure
The
capturing?
urbexing?
Yeah, there it is. Couldn't think of the
Yeah.
name for that.
Yeah, because I like capturing things as is. I don't want to, I don't like setting something up. It feels like acting. I'm not an actor. I don't want to create some laid out thing and then capture it, trying to play it off like, oh, it was just like that. You know what I mean? It feels
Yeah.
like lying to me, and I can't do it. So I just prefer as is, which I think my favorite photo from my Alaskan trip is actually one where I was on this trail. Okay, get this. This is a story. Okay, are you ready for my adventure story?
I'm locked in.
Okay. So I was in outside Valdez, Alaska, and there was a hiking trail. So I was like, you know what? I want to go down there and see what I can find to capture with my camera. As soon as I get to the trailhead, there's a note on the floor that says black bear spotted 2:30 p.m. I look at the time, it's about like 3:45. So I'm like, "Oh man, this thing could still be around. F it, let's still go." So I'm walking
Okay,
down the
great
trail.
survival instincts, by the way.
I know, right? It's Alaska. Bears and moose are everywhere.
Okay.
So I'm walking, and then as I'm walking down, there's all of these like clumps of these red berries, right? And it's raining, kind of like drizzling, so everything's all wet and whatever. And I come across this set of berries, legit in the shape of a heart, you guys.
Oh,
In
wow.
like in a heart. I didn't pluck none of the berries to make it look like that. That's just what it'll look like.
Okay.
Okay, because again, we don't set stuff up to make it look like it was like that. And that is my favorite picture that I ever caught, just because it was just naturally, that's how I found it. It was such a cool adventure. I was taking the picture, hoping that that bear was not anywhere near me,
So you never saw
and
the
I
bear?
got it. No, I never saw it. I probably
Okay.
heard it though. I'm pretty sure I heard a couple stuff, but
Okay.
it was also drizzling, so it could have just been the rain on the leaves. Could have been a bear stalking me to kill me. I don't know. But that's life,
That
you
that
just
is
gotta
life.
go for it.
Absolutely. Maybe the bear set the shot up when you think about it,
You
The
think
bear's like, yo, she's gonna love this, and starts putting all like the little
Yeah.
stuff together,
Maybe he ate around it, so it was like a heart,
See?
I don't know.
Look
Maybe
at
he
that.
left it
The
for me.
bear was a paid actor. Who would have
Yeah.
thought?
Maybe it was a message from the bear. It loved me. That's why it didn't maul me. I don't know.
Maybe I make animal life run away, and then you just make them love you, and then that's why you didn't get attacked.
Am I Snow White then?
I know I'm not. So
Don't feed me an apple. I'm sus.
yeah. So you had mentioned that the TikTok community that you had kind of like wanted to buy some of your prints, right?
Yes.
And then you had mentioned that you said some of your friends have motivated you to sell some of your prints. Was the friend in mind the ones from the
TikTok, yeah.
TikTok? Okay, gotcha. Full freaking circle. So what? And I mean, you kind of seem like you were in disbelief that someone would want to buy your prints in the first place. But like, what in your mind was stopping you from just trying to sell them at all? Like, because there's no way you just didn't think about that prior to that conversation. At least I would assume.
Well, I think we all have a little insecurity, right? I don't think that, maybe it's just me, but I'm not cocky, So I don't think, oh, I took this picture, somebody's going to buy it. Somebody wants to put this in their bedroom. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you just don't think like that. Or at least I don't. So, yeah, it didn't really, I was just doing it because I enjoyed it. I liked my prints. I liked actually capturing it, the adventure it takes to get the shot. I like the after effect of trying to edit the photo to kind of capture the same vibe as what I felt when I was there. But to hear people actually wanted to support me by purchasing it was just, I don't, how do you accept that? But I was also the same kind of person where when I started TikTok and people wanted to send me Lego, I didn't want them to at first. They literally had to beg me because I'm the person where if you do something for me, I feel like I owe you.
Mm-hmm.
People don't just, in my mind back then, people don't just do things out of the kindness of their heart. I've learned that through streaming. They do, in fact, do stuff out of the kindness of their heart.
Right.
So that was definitely a change in my perspective of the world in general by accepting what people are willing to do for you.
Okay. And I do believe when I was doing my research that I saw that you had a little pop-up store where you put all your prints in this little area with all your friends came out to come and support you and stuff like that. Like, what was the story behind that?
Oh, were you talking about where like physically they were there?
Physically, you had like a
That
bunch of
was
stuff
the
there.
Yeah, that was an art show. So I actually had signed up to do an art show because everybody on TikTok was so, oh my God, we love your pitch, blah 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 blah. I was like,
Hmm.
okay, I got a little confident boost, like I'm feeling
Yeah.
good about my stuff. So I found an art show and I had got a bunch of my prints and I was like, you know what, let's just do it. Let's go there. I had business cards made because if you're gonna do something, do it. Don't half-ass it. Go
Right.
for it, right? So
Hmm.
yeah, I had the website up where people could purchase if they wanted to, and then I made business cards and I just went to this art gallery, set up my stuff, put out my cards, and just had fun. They had music, they had drinks, they had a bunch of other kind of artists there, so it was just a networking opportunity for, I guess, art in that sense.
Hmm. I got you. And networking seems to be a massive trend in your life. So how big is networking in your life, and how important do you think it is in any avenue, I guess?
Huge. It's huge, honestly. I mean, just like with not just streaming, not just photography, not anything, right? In particular, but just in general,
Hmm.
it is a safe rule of it is not always what you know, it's who you know. So networking can change your life in an instant. It just depends on how you met somebody, what happened, whatever. Just
Yeah.
it's very rare, where you can do something and just become a great success without the help of somebody else.
Yeah. Um, and full transparency, because that's what this podcast is about, is just transparency. Up until like maybe a year ago, I was one of those people that I felt like I could do it on my own, and I saw baby success with certain things, but ultimately there was like this ceiling that I kept hitting, and I just couldn't figure out what the hang up was. And I was like, well, maybe I have to work harder. Maybe I have to just do this, this, this. And then people were like, oh, well, I can do this. And I was like, nah, 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 I got it. Because I fell into the like the U.S. propaganda, which is pick yourself up by your bootstraps, do it on your own, keep your head down, stay silent, go ghost. And I was just like, yeah, lock in, bro. I just gotta stay ghost. Don't talk to anybody. And then like I figured that was how I was gonna get there. And then I had a huge reality check last year, and it hit me all at once where I was like, dog, I've been doing this wrong for so long. And now the mindset has shifted and everything kind of makes sense. But yeah, there's a very glass ceiling that you hit when you do things on your own, because inevitably, it takes a village to accomplish most things, worth
It
doing and worth
does,
notating.
yeah. And like, don't get me wrong. Like, you shouldn't just go into something expecting to just piggyback off the backs of other people. You do still have to put your work into it.
Yeah.
But having the networking definitely adds that extra element that sometimes that's all you need to get you to that next step. And then
No,
you take it from
100%.
there. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 1,000%. And old me would have been like, "Ah, she's off her rocker. She's crazy." But no, you are ahead of
It
your time.
is.
No, it is so
I
true.
mean, like, if you want to boil it down to like Twitch streaming, even like just straight Twitch streaming, you could just stream all you want and whatever, but you're not gonna generate some sort of Twitch community on your own. The best way to grow is to be networking with other streamers. That's why you always raid out at the end of your stream and stuff like that. People that you end up becoming friends with, you help support their stream, they'll typically help support yours. I say typically because there's always people that go against the grain, but that's just how it works. I mean, when I was trying to push for partner, there was tons of other streamers that I had met from streaming that would just pull up my stream and lurk, or they
Yeah.
would raid, and I would in turn do the same for them.
What's a raid for anyone listening?
Oh, a raid is when you're ending your stream. You can take anybody who's currently watching your stream and you can send them over to somebody else who is currently live streaming.
Okay. And then that's another way to basically network and to share communities pretty much.
Yeah, it's huge. If you're not raiding at the end of your stream, you're doing yourself a disservice. I mean, because if
No.
you're ending stream anyways, who cares what your viewers are watching? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, and if they don't like it, they'll just go
it's
somewhere else and yeah.
exactly. It gives it an opportunity for you to meet another community and another streamer as well as your viewers.
Could not agree more. So along the same vein of like the gaming stuff, there was a game that came out around February in 2023 called Cyber Phoenix Studios that had some of your art in it. What was that? How'd that even happen?
Dude, I don't even know if that actually I don't even know. It's some kind of weird game where they can buy what is it, NFTs or something like that. I don't even
Yeah.
know. But they asked me if I wanted to put some of my photography in there and I was like, again, opportunity, I'm taking it. So I said, yeah, sure, why not? So I gave them some of my photography from my nature adventures and somehow it's in somewhere, somehow it's in there, that video game somewhere. I just never played it, you know?
Okay, hey, but it is in
But
there somehow.
it is in there somewhere. And I was like, dang, that's cool. That's something to boast about that my photography is in a video game.
I mean, I would say it's pretty noteworthy, honestly. So that's pretty dope.
I'm still
Um,
waiting to be a voice in a video game though. So if there's anybody developing a video game, if you need a voice,
I mean, that's your gal, why not?
yeah.
Um,
I'll even be
yeah.
like one of the, we're doing like Mortal Kombat, be like, oh, I'll be one of those people. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I'll be death. I'll be death noise. I don't care.
Okay. Yeah, I got you. We'll see. Next Mortal Kombat game right here. It's gonna be Kernobi in it.
That's my networking right now. There you go.
There it is.
I'm sorry.
No, you never know. Shit. Let me get into voice acting. F it. Like let's
Yeah,
both let's do it.
Asking you shall receive.
You know what? Any voice acting people out there, be like, you know what? You got two people right here. Let's do it.
Yeah, why not?
So before I move on to this thing, for anyone thinking about getting into photography, okay, what is one thing you wish you knew going into it that you had to learn the hard way with photography?
Learn the settings of your camera. Get to know them very well. Because I had done it for far too long and I did not really do that. I just kind of like messed with it on the fly when I'd need to. And then I had to take time to really understand it when I went back to Alaska to do night photography. I had to learn what the ISO was and like all of that stuff to capture night photography. So like honestly, that's probably the best is to start off by understanding your camera and the little like tidbits of how to almost edit without editing. You can get it right the first time.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's a good thing to learn because when you have one of those like fancier cameras that's not just your iPhone, which I would even argue an iPhone's got a lot of settings too, but like if, for the most part it's just point and shoot. But when you have an actual like Canon, Nikon, all these different like brands where you spend a pretty decent amount of money, the settings on there will make your head spin. That is for
Yeah.
dang sure.
Yeah. Well, and that way you're not spending as much time editing after the fact. You kind of already got it how you want it.
And then that saves you a lot of time, so then you can take more pictures, and then you're on to the next thing. All right. Well, then my next question is, what's next for Kern? What are some of the goals you
Oh,
have for streaming? Any more photography plans? Like, what's your plans? What's next?
I'm not really sure. I started kind of taking more care of myself because when I first was doing it, it was just go, 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 go. And I get laser focused on whatever I'm doing. And I kind of had to start taking more me time, to avoid burnout.
Yeah.
So right now that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm working because I work a full-time job. Like I actually have a legit big girl career on top of what I do on my free time. So, that's currently what I'm doing. I did start a YouTube channel, so I'm trying to get the YouTube going. I think that's probably my next project is getting a YouTube partner because I know that that's really decent for monetization because you're not necessarily going on the backs of your viewers by hoping for subs or bits. It's literally their time. You know, once you get partnered, you get paid per view.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's my next endeavor is to YouTube. Maybe
Okay.
some long form content if I can find the time. I can't even find the time for form
Yeah,
all the
it's
time.
where's the time? There's just not enough time in the day.
No, there's not.
So I 100% feel you on that on a spiritual level. Um, so we have a borrowed tradition here,
Okay.
where the previous guest leaves a question for the current guest, and then you will then leave one for a future guest.
Ooh.
Because I botched this, and the first person who did my podcast was Thunderceptor 11. The very next guest I had, I didn't write it down, and I forgot to ask his question.
Oh
so,
no.
so then when you said you were down, and I was like, oh my God, this is a buddy of his. This would be the perfect time to ask his
Oh,
question.
I'm getting Thundy's question.
You're getting Thunderceptor 11's
Oh.
question.
Okay.
And his question for you is, how does the soundtrack of a game affect your experience?
Oh man, it's got to have good sound. Like it's got to have a good soundtrack. It either goes for the immersion or kills it entirely. Like you got to have the vibe. You know what I mean? Like you can't be like let's just say for example, right? Let's just say you're fighting like one of the last bosses in Elden Ring. Okay?
Yeah.
And they got some chippery doo do 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 do, you know, like some Mario or some kind of music playing while you're trying to kill this awesome boss. You know, like
Yeah, and
it
Elden
makes
Ring's
a
a very dark and
difference.
dreary kind of game for people who haven't played Elden Ring. It's just like this
Yeah.
real like grim looking world, and basically you don't want to get copy struck like I'm about to because of Kern's singing.
Oh, sorry.
I'm kidding. But yeah, you don't want like a Mario jingle for a dark and dreary
or
game. Yeah,
or like Hello Kitty or something. You know what I mean? You don't
absolutely.
want something like that. You need something like, yeah, I'm gonna kick this. Wait, can I swear?
Go for it.
I'm gonna kick this thing's ass. You know,
Hell
like you
yeah.
need that kind of music.
So then, what would you say is what has the best soundtrack in a game for you? Like, what is the end all? Like, my God, the soundtrack is just top tier.
Oh man, there's been a lot of games. I am currently playing Hades, and that has a really, really good soundtracks right now.
I
I'm
was
just
watching you
saying.
play Hades, and the soundtrack was like pretty dope. And like, I was watching the chat kind of go, and everyone's like, "Yo, this song is dope," and you're like, "I know." So yeah, I've heard good things about the Hades soundtrack. Um, I loved as a recent game, Expedition 33. Just the music in that game is just insane. And then like the dude who did the music was some random guy they found on SoundCloud who just had no actual like, I don't know, he wasn't famous or nothing like that. It was just some guy. So you never know where you're gonna find some top tier talent. But if I had to go back into the memory banks, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, those on the original like PlayStation, the soundtrack from that,
Ooh,
oh my God, listen, it was
there you
just,
go,
oh my God, I could just like hit the
bro.
pause on that and just like walk away and just let that play in my room.
Yeah, dude. And some of these indie games got great music too. What was There was an indie game I played a couple years ago. I think maybe it's 2 years ago. Bleak Faith Forsaken. Okay, it was like an indie Souls like
Okay.
game, right? They had good music too. And the thing was that like that game was made by three people. One of those three people was just the music guy. Okay, he like made all the music. Funny enough, he actually ended up becoming like he was in my chat while I was playing that game and was like talking to everybody
No kidding.
about the music that he was making or that he made that we were listening to while we were streaming the game. It was
Wow.
cool.
That
It was
does not
cool.
happen very often. I love that.
It's indie games for you, you know? The indie devs are something else. I love a
Okay.
good indie game.
Um, so, I guess the
Oh,
next thing
I need
now
my
is
question.
yeah, you got to leave a question for the next person now.
Um, if life was a video game and you could go back and redo a certain starting point, would you?
So that is not a common question because no one's asked if their life was a video game. So that already out the rip was very unique. And you're saying like high school, like college,
Yeah.
like okay,
Like
like
if you could go back to a save point in your life and just start from there and redo it, would you?
well, would you?
No, because I probably wouldn't be here where I am today.
Good answer. Well, with
Or I'd
that,
go back to 2002 and get some Bitcoin or something. I don't know.
oh my God, yeah. Like if there were ever a moment to go back in history, I would definitely put some money into that. Holy cow.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's fair actually. That's fair. So with that being said, Kern, thank you for doing this. I appreciate you
It
for
was
taking the time
so
out of your day.
painful. So painful.
I had a
Just kidding.
feeling, I was like, man, I am killing her. We got to wrap this up.
No, that was cool. You did a great job, honestly.
Thank you.
Great job. Good homework skills.
Thank you. Where can we find you? Where can we see all your stuff at?
Kern_Obi on literally anything. I'm on Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, now Kick. We got partnered on Kick. They just gave it to us. I got like 20 follows on there.
All right, didn't see that coming. Heck yeah.
That's where I'm at. Discord, Kern_Obi.
All right, and it'll also be in the links below in all the show notes and all that other stuff going on here below the video or audio. So thanks again, Kern, for doing today's episode. I appreciate you. And everyone
welcome.
listening, thank you, and have a great day.
Hopefully you don't have to edit too much.